hello, good evening and welcome to Newslead. And just a reminder that you and I can stay in touch on #Newslead. But first of all, it's been a big week out there. I'm Tom Aldavanu.
I'm Isabella Laws.
I'm Natalie Villanueva.
I'm Mo Shawanarpisha.
And I'm Caitlin Gallagher.
But first up, Caitlin, what's happening in today's news?
Well, Tom, Southport is set to be the state's first smoke-free suburb. The council has plans for a major crackdown across the city. Gold Coast Police are investigating bloodstains at a home in Ashmore after New Zealander Linda Sinden went missing. The RSPCA is warning pet owners after a number of dogs have been stolen from backyards. It's believed the pets are being used in underground black market fighting. And a two-car crash has brought traffic to a standstill in Southport near the set-up stands for the GC600.
Not too good ahead of the GC600. Thanks, Caitlin. Now, it's time for our top story with Isabella.
Thanks, Tom. Queensland is in the midst of some major changes in their nightlife, with the Labor government set to implement new tough laws to help combat alcohol-fueled violence. Opinions have been mixed from Queenslanders, with some saying the new laws are outdated and they will send the industry back to the dark ages. However, the government argues statistics show the changes are necessary. Let's take a look and you can decide for yourself which side you will support.
Glitterstrip nightclub owners, managers and staff are going to be in need of a stiff drink, with the Queensland State Government set to implement new tough laws to help combat alcohol-fueled violence. The new Labor government has planned a range of strict measures, including bringing lockout forward from 3 a.m. to 1 a.m, closing time from 5 a.m. to 3 a.m, stopping shots and spirits on the rocks after midnight, and enabling police to breathalyze patrons in order to shore up prosecutions of licensees and staff who serve intoxicated patrons. Gold Coast stakeholders say the move to take 2 hours from drinkers is a threat to the Gold Coast's $3.4 billion nightlife sector and could damage its appeal to international tourists.
Like anywhere, you got your good points and your bad points, but I think generally you're right to walk wherever you want to walk most of the time. I think there's a fair bit of crime. I don't think it's as bad as it's probably put forward.
However, the government argues that the changes are necessary, as statistics show that nationally, police use 1/4 of their budgets responding to alcohol-related incidents.
The Queensland Government hasn't implemented such early closing times in over a decade, and nightclub owners are wondering if this new legislation is going to send us back to the dark ages.
Lockout laws will not only affect just the venues, but also the businesses surrounding the venues. I think taxi services are going to suffer. I think convenience stores and all the other places, restaurants, I think all those places are going to suffer as well. And it's just, I don't think it's something that's good for tourism.
Until the legislation is official, Queenslanders will continue to protest these changes. Isabella Laws for Newslead.
Well, I guess then the obvious question is, living on the Gold Coast, you want to restrict these hours to 1 a.m. for lockout, and the main source of money in our economy is tourism.
Yeah.
Do we think it's going to have a bit of an effect on tourism?
It definitely is. I mean, if you're coming, the Gold Coast is known for their nightlife, so if you're coming here to go out at night and then you have to stop drinking shots after midnight and have to pick where you want to be by 1 a.m, it's definitely going to send people other places where they can do what they want for whenever they want, I think.
No doubt, losing a couple of jobs in the hospitality industry as well. What do you think there, Natalie, as well? Do you think it's a good move that will reduce the crime rate in the long run?
Yeah, I think it will. Any way to reduce the abuse of alcohol is always a good step forward. But I do worry, as whereabouts they're going to be going after the 1 o'clock mark hits. I'd be prudent if the Queensland government did monitor where they would be going afterwards to make sure there's no extra violence happening.
Yeah. That's right, yeah. So 1 o'clock there for the lockout in Queensland. But stay tuned. Next up, we talk about social equality and new laws for texting and driving. Well, welcome back with our next story. Here's Natalie.
Social equality and acceptance is a globally leading issue. Recent identity changes in the celebrity world has sparked heavy dispute between those who are and aren't against a gay, lesbian, bisexual and transgender society. The fight to rid stigmatism has grown stronger after the Parliament failed to pass the same-sex marriage bill. Despite this, festivals like Brisbane Pride Day continue to flourish. So last week, I took a trip to New Farm to check out the annual equality celebration. This is the devoted support Brisbane had shown at one of its largest community festivals of the year over the weekend, Brisbane Pride Day. Held at New Farm Park, there wasn't a colour of the rainbow not worn, wavered or welcomed to represent local social equality.
Today the Brisbane Pride Festival has proudly celebrated the 25th year of gay, lesbian, bisexual and transgender equality. With a turnout better than ever this year, the community has definitely shown their support for the event's very important milestone. Is this the type of crowd you expected to turn up today?
Yeah, I think I'm glad the weather held off. I'm a bit worried, but yeah, I think the turnout's been good. A lot of people.
But behind all the smiles and laughter, there were also concerns over the nation's new government and the struggle for social equality.
I'm hoping that with a new phase in the government that will make a difference. I'm not convinced. I'm still a little bit pessimistic about it. The recent one, the recent go with Tony Abbott, I thought that perhaps it would finally be looked at. I was really upset when it wasn't.
Brisbane communities only hope that one day the gap will close.
Look, I think that it's something that it shouldn't even be a discussion anymore. It should just be part of the way that we live our lives.
Natalie Villian-Weber for Newslead.
Caitlin has our next piece.
Thanks, Tom. Parking in the CBD at Broadbeach and Burleigh might be a little easier thanks to a new council initiative, but it might cost you more. I followed up on this story, and here's more. Finding a parking spot on the coast can be daunting, but it was all smiles in Broadbeach CBD today as council rolled out a new flexi parking system.
Well, I live in Sydney, so
it's pretty cheap
the parking's still going to be cheaper.
I think that we're staying at the Wave, and you can never get parked along at the Wave because of people who are parked all day. So yeah, I'd go along with that. I'd love to see 30-minute park or something like that.
Prices at Broadbeach and Burleigh have gone up or down depending on demand. It will now cost an extra 20 cents to get a prime parking spot on busy Surf Parade. But parking one street away at Main Place will save you 40 cents an hour.
I just go to the cheapest place because I'm tight.
Streets like Albert Avenue, time limit there, it won't be chargeable there, but time limits will go from 1 hour to 2 hours to give people go to the restaurants time to go to the restaurants and come out. So we believe it's a balancing, it will keep the traffic moving.
Council maintains they won't charge people to go to the beach. Here along Old Burleigh Road, they've put in a 3-hour parking restriction. However, these spots will remain free. The trial will be reviewed after 12 months. Caitlin Gallagher, 9 Gold Coast News.
And Caitlin's been a bit busy this week. This week, she also tackled the controversial topic of texting and driving.
Yes, Tom, a number of Queenslanders are unaware that the laws have changed and there are heavy penalties for offenders now. The Queensland Government has introduced new laws that could see drivers lose their licence for texting and driving. In a bid to stop drivers from reaching for their phones, the Palaszczuk Government have introduced a $353 fine and a 3 demerit point penalty for offenders. Repeat offenders could also face double demerit points leading to a loss of their licence. Using a handheld phone is illegal, but that hasn't stopped drivers attempting to text and drive in the past. The RACQ have backed the Labor government's new legislation.
Absolutely, it's time for motorists to put down their mobile phones and stop being so arrogant. We are concerned at the number of drivers still texting behind the wheel. Distraction is one of the fatal 5 for a reason, and by texting and driving, you're taking a deadly risk.
The new laws were put into place as of September 1st with a particular focus on re-offenders. Repeat offences in the same yearly period could rack up to 9 demerit points. The state government says the law is about making our roads safer for every Queenslander. RACQ says there's a few tips that can help you break the mobile addiction. Turning off your mobile phone before you start the car acts as a major deterrent. If you need to access your phone, install a hands-free system via your car's speakers. Pull over and legally park, turning the car off if you need to take a call or check a message. When I'm driving, by simply putting my head down to check my mobile phone or to answer a phone call, I'm losing hundreds of metres of vision right in front of me, not to mention my reaction speed is highly delayed. On top of that, I could also receive a hefty fine by police and also lose my licence. According to Queensland Government statistics, there have been over 135 fatalities on our roads this year alone. Following these new laws, police will be monitoring the roads, looking for drivers that try and bend the rules. Caitlin Gallagher reporting.
Now, first of all, obviously some changes there when you're texting and driving, but the big question is, how would you enforce this sort of thing? Obviously, it's hard for police to be keeping an eye on, and look, as a driver personally, you drive around and see a lot of people get their social media apps up or their phones out of their pockets while they're at a red light. So how do you think they should enforce this? Like, it's hard to police this
Yeah,
sort of
well,
thing.
a lot of officers can't physically see what you're doing inside your car. I mean, there's no X-ray vision on cars. And it's like, I guess, with seatbelts, at least you can see that the seatbelt's not on, it's not strapped across their chest. But with a phone, a lot of people are quite tricky and they'll have the phone below. You'll see their eyes looking down, and I guess that's the only way for an officer to tell. I mean, it's the only way I'm able to tell if the driver next to me is texting or mucking around, or if they're erratically driving on the road, it's obviously drugs, texting or drinking.
Obviously, it is a bit tempting to, when you hear that text message tone go off or your Facebook notification make that little click noise. Do you think these sort of fines and measures will discourage people from whipping out their phones at a red light or in between traffic?
I think it is definitely a good step for road safety, and the problem, I guess, would be, that temptation to pick up your phone. I mean, it's only a small device that you can secretly peek at, like, for only a few seconds, and you can be pretty sure that no one would see, but that's the problem with it. And it's something that needs to be enforced with a good set of rules that they can be followed.
It's definitely a battle for Generation Y. Well, we'll be back with coverage of the Swell Festival and, of course, sport next. Well, hello again for our cultural news. Here's Mo.
Earlier in September, the annual Swell Sculpture Festival was held in Currumbin. The festival is one of the largest local events as a communal effort, with no government funding. This year, over 50 sculptures by local, national, and international artists were displayed. Let's take a look.
For a number of years here on the Gold Coast. It's a community-run thing, like everyone, it's just done by sponsors and everyone coming in to help. There's no government funding. Everyone just comes and, you know, sees Swell every year for what it is, and it's just become bigger and bigger and bigger, but it is supported just by local businesses and people.
And what do you think is the best things about Swell?
Just the amazing artwork, you know, just have to come see all this artwork for free. You don't have to pay for it, you just come along, you've got beautiful beaches and everything, and you can just see all these beautiful, like, artists' work.
The 13th Annual Swell Sculpture Festival was held from the 11th to the 20th of September this year. Sculptures were displayed along the 1 kilometer strip of Currumbin Beach. Swell has grown to be more than a display of sculptures. It features smaller sculptures, artist talks, a range of workshops, performance art, music, yoga, and culinary delights.
It don't matter to me.
This year, the winning award goes to Ingrid Morley for Lost and Found, with a $15,000 prize.
Yes, it's definitely an event worth checking out.
And now with sport, here's Tom.
Well, thanks, Isabella. Well, a new international event that's set to reap millions for the Gold Coast is on its way. Round 4 of the XCAT International Series kicks off tomorrow, with the Powerboat Series predicted to stimulate the local economy to the tune of $9 million.
The Gold Coast is used to hosting big events. The city is now less than 3 years away from hosting its biggest event ever in 2018. But before then, a new lucrative player that's set to push the glitter strip higher on the world stage.
To have a world-class competition, 200 kilometres per hour powerboat, the XCAT streaming across our Broadwater.
With its origins from Dubai, the multi-billion-dollar XCAT World Series is becoming one of the richest boating events in the world, and now heads to the Southern Hemisphere for the first time. With the 8-race series stopping in places such as the Emirates, Portugal and Australia, there's concern boats passing at the spit could interfere with Mother Nature.
The initial preferred course couldn't be utilised, so we went back to the drawing board, and a lot of logistic work in making sure that in racing through the seaway and racing outside that we're taking the appropriate amount of care with marine wildlife.
For the first time as well, a specially sponsored Team Gold Coast boat will take to the course, a move by council to grow the city's brand internationally. And it's making local drivers here excited.
It's only sort of just hit me, you know, that I've just literally gotten out of bed and driven from home to come to the pits, where normally it's, you know, packing and getting a passport and going to the airport. But it's been a long time in the making, so for it to finally be here, there's a few little nerves, but they should all shake off when the official sessions start tomorrow.
With over 40,000 expected here at Doug Jennings Park over the next 3 days, and with council securing the event for the next 3 years, we'll have to wait and see whether the economic benefits really do pay off. Tom Aldovanu reporting. And in today's other sport headlines, triumph in England this morning at the Rugby World Cup, with the Wallabies booking their 4th appearance in next week's grand final after their 14-point win over Argentina. Veteran winger Adam Ashley Cooper scoring a hat-trick, helping seal victory and continue his side's unbeaten run at Twickenham. The Aussies now face their biggest test yet against the #1 ranked All Blacks, who got past South Africa in their thriller early yesterday morning. In the A-League, the Perth Glory have recorded their first win of the season after their 3-1 victory over Adelaide at NIB Stadium last night. The result keeps the Reds relegated to second last, winless so far after 3 rounds, while Melbourne City continued their resurgence up the ladder, also 3-1 winners over the Central Coast Mariners in other Sunday afternoon action. Back home, a stunning comeback by James Courtney after finishing in first place at the Gold Coast 600 yesterday afternoon. The Holden driver, who was sidelined for 9 weeks with a punctured lung and broken ribs from a pit lane incident at Sydney, claiming the 300k event and second V8 race of the season. Nissan's Rick Kelly and Holden's Garth Tander wrapping up the top 3. It wasn't an ideal weekend for championship leader Mark Winterbottom though, finishing 11th and 23rd in his 2 races. And in cricket, New South Wales have clinched this year's Matador One Day Cup, the Blues beating South Australia by 9 wickets at North Sydney Oval. Now with weather, here's Isabella.
Thanks, Tom. In the weather now, there's a cold front moving along the east coast. Heavy storms and lightning are affecting parts of North Queensland. In Brisbane, there's a top of 26 with a chance of rain tomorrow. Storms on the Gold Coast with a top of 29 and a low of 21. Cloudy in Sydney with a top of 23. Meanwhile, on the West Coast, sunny with a top of 26 in Perth and similar conditions in Alice Springs with a top of 36. And finally, cloudy skies in Darwin with a top of 33.
Well, that's all we have for tonight. It's been a pleasure having your company. Tune in next week for more on Newslead.
And don't forget to follow the hashtag Newslead for the latest updates.
Okay, stop that. I think Chris can hear us.